In this video, I want to show the MCP integration with GraphQL and how is it different from a common way of using MCP tools where you have multiple endpoints for the different type of assets that you're querying. So that's what I wanted to show. So there are two projects. One is this project, the MCP. Both the GraphQL and generic one is this one, security MCP integration. And the next project is the chat agent, which is a Next.js project that is going to use this MCP. So this one I'm using OpenAI. So you may have to get the OpenAI key and probably pay $5 to go get that going. If you don't want to use this, you can still use Claude Desktop, and in that case you'll use Claude instead of using a chat agent. Everything will be the same except the fact you may have to run this as stdio. Everything I put that in the README so you can follow along. So let's get started. For this demo, I've taken a security use case where you have container assets. So there are different type of assets and they all have asset tags. It's a many-to-many relation, and the tags have vulnerability information that's mentioned as CVEs. CVE is a way to identify and categorize the vulnerability, and they have the remediation as well. It's complex relation, and I use this to cover various complex use cases that you'll see in the demo. So first, let me start the GraphQL interface. So again, so all the data is set up. I'm running it in a Docker container here, and you can see all the tables. And how to run, how to set up the seed data and the various create table scripts. Everything is in the code and detailed in the README. All right, first I'm going to run graph because I want to show, okay, I'm running this already. All right. I'm going to run graph. The reason is I wanted to show this guy, right? A nice interface where you can see the power of graph. Here I am querying two types of assets. One is the CVEs and the other one is container assets. So I'm querying two type of assets, and not only that, I'm providing the shape of data that I want. So I can query, I can put filters on it, and I can also change the shape of data I want. So for example, for CVEs, I have all this, and I can remove some of them if I don't want it. Now, for example, let's say I don't want CVEs score, and I don't want description. So that goes away now. They don't want CVEs and they just want container assets. That is also done. And for container assets, I have this guy. Now CVEs, now let me remove that. And it will just give you that. So it's very powerful where you can not only filter on data, but also provide input on the shape of data. So I wanted to show that first because I wanted to use this power with MCP as well. Okay, let's go to the next part. Before I forget, so for this demo, I'm going to be querying only one type of asset at a time. So from MCP, I'm going to be querying only one type of asset, but this can also be optimized so the query can not only query one type of data, it can query all types of data. All right, now let me stop this guy. And should we start? I wanted to have, so I have two versions, the graph one that's here, but let's start with the generic one. All right, it is running in 8001. So this is the Next.js project, and I wanted to run with the the generic interface. So for that, you have to set up these particular variables. Again, these variables are there in the README for reference. After that, let me start up the server. Okay, so this is now the chat agent, and this is going to call the MCP here, right? So first we are running the generic interface. All right, and I have some helpers here for doing different types of query. So right now let's ask something. So I have various helpers here so that I don't have to type. List all container assets in prod with CVE and severity. So now this is the chat agent and it's going to call MCP. Alright, it has come up with the result. It's showing the assets and it's also showing the CVEs with the severity. That's good. Let's see the logs. Here, it can be more than one step. So here it does just have one step and it is it's calling the right tool. And you can also see from the server that it is calling the tool. Okay. So now let's see something complex remediation query. So here, remediation plan for production assets grouped by severity and estimated effort. So it has to do various stuff. All right, so now it has got the CVEs and it has come up with the remediation plan as well. So here you can see it has got two steps. One is the list CVE and the list remediation. Right, so that is the generic way, and this is how most of the integrations are done. Now I wanted to switch to the graph way of doing stuff. Let me stop this one, and I'll also stop the server. I'm going to run the graph version now. So the graph version has just two endpoints, one for the schema and another one for querying the graph. So it has just the schema and then query for graph. So no matter what type of data you want, you will query, you will just use this call. All right, so this one is running, and before I start, I have to set up this for graph. All right, now I set it up for graph. Now let me run the server. All right, now let's ask the same questions again. Containers running as root and summarize the CVEs. And all this data comes from just one query. So it should just do one query. Let's see what happens. So it has come up with the containers and also the CVEs. Let me see the query. Yeah, it is just do one step. And here you can also see, the fields. It is just looking at the name and CVE summary because I've asked it to keep it minimal when I prompted as part of the prompt. Okay, so and here you can also see the raw query that has been executed in the MCP. Let's do something complex. Here I'm asking rank assets by custom risk score and also get all the details. So the model I'm using here is GPT-4o mini. You can also change it as part of your setup. So here, it has categorized it and it has also come up with all the details. So as before, in the logs, you can see what all steps it executed and also the query in the MCP side. So you can play around with this one. Hopefully you found this useful. Like I said, all the data all the stuff that I've shown here is there in the GitHub links, and I'll also add those links in the description. Thanks for watching, and if you like content like this, consider subscribing. Thank you.